So, I have just finished making some Chadian food. And no, I didn't make boule because I'm not crazy enough to try that. But I decided that I wanted to make something called Bouillie, which is kind of like a rice porridge thing. And it was one of the foods that I actually really learned to like while I was in Chad. So, it's been over a year, well over a year since I've been back, and I decided that I wanted to make some to see if I still like it. And this is what I've come up with. Here it is, my Bouillie rice porridge. And surprisingly, it actually turned out almost exactly like I remember it in Chad. Unfortunately, I've discovered that I don't really like Bouillie anymore. I think it must have just been an adaptation thing while I was there. So, I have a pot of Bouillie. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I suppose I'll chip away at it a little bit at a time. But that was my Chadian cooking adventure for the day. Probably for the year, actually. Thanks for joining in.